How is your studies going on? We are learning about the age of revolution. Okay, in the previous class we have learned about the causes of revolution, American War of Independence. Okay, in this class we are going to see about the American War of Independence. Okay, what led to the War of Independence and what was the effect of the War of Independence and what was the result, okay, of this war, and also we are going to see the French Revolution, okay, and its causes. Okay, first of all we are going to see about the American War of Independence. Okay, now American War of Independence, what happened? It was because of the suppression and unjust rule of Britishers. The colonies, they rebelled against the Britishers. Okay, in 1774, what happened? The colonies, they met in Philadelphia. Okay, where was the colonies met? They have met in Philadelphia. So in 1774, the colonies met in Philadelphia and appealed against their British ruler, King George III. Okay, what was the name of the British ruler? King George III. What was the reason for the colonies to appeal against the King George III? Because King George III was the unjust ruler. Okay, King George III was the unjust ruler who ruled unjust manner against the British colonies. He oppressed the British colonies. That's the reason these colonies, they met in Philadelphia. When did they meet? In 1774. Okay, so here they met together and they asked the King George III to withdraw all his injustice and oppressed act against the colonies. And this became the rebellious action, okay, against the king. So what was the king did? He called the British troops, okay, to fight against the colonies. So all the British troops, they have met, they came in the place called Massachusetts. Okay, where did they meet? Where did the British troops came to fight against the colonies? In the place called Massachusetts. Okay, and they reached here, and the colonies, they have formed their own army to fight against the British troops. And the war broke out in two places, that is called Lexington. Okay, Lexington and Concord. Okay, and these are the two places the war broke out. And at last what happened? In 1775, the colonies, they met together for the second time and they have declared independence against the British rule. Okay, in 1775, they met again for the second time and declared independence against the British government. Okay, according to them, they demanded free from the British rule. They wanted to rule themselves. They wanted to form their own form of government. Okay, and they also brought the declaration that they have the right to rule themselves. Okay, they pursued the life of happiness. This was the demand of the British colonies. And what happened because of these colonies? Because of this rebellious action against the British ruler of these colonies, what happened? There was a birth of United States of America. Okay? What happened? In 1781, there was a birth of United States of America. It was declared. Okay. Now, during this war, these colonies selected George Washington as their general. Okay. So this George Washington, under the leadership of George Washington, the colonies, they fought against the British rulers, or the British rule, or British government. And in 1781, what happened? There was the birth of United States of America. And how this birth of United States of America happened, or how it took place? In 1775, there was a war, and this war ended up in 1781. Okay. The American War of Independence ended in 1781, and with the end of British rule in American colonies. Okay. Now the colonies became free. There was a form of United States of America. These 13 colonies, they came under the United States of America. And now, about 200 years, this United States of America became more powerful. Okay, economically and politically, the United States of America became more powerful. It became the role model to other countries, or other colonies, to fight against their motherland. Okay, now what are the results of this American War of Independence? This American War of Independence brought lot of changes in the American colonies as well as the British rule in America. What was the first effect? Because of the American War of Independence, there was the birth of United States of America. That was the first result of this war. And secondly, when we see, because of the American War of Independence, this United States of America, it formed as a new government, and they formed their own form of government. So they have started writing their own constitution. So second point, when we see second result, there was a beginning of written constitution. Till then there is no constitution, there is no written constitution. Whatever the British ruler thought, his will became the law. Okay, but now, because of the written constitution, the ruler or the chosen person, the selected president, he wanted to, or he happened to rule the people, or to rule the government based on the written constitution which is given in the political order. Okay. The next thing, when we see the basic form of liberty, fraternity, sovereignty, these all things became popular. Okay, because it started to form a democratic way of government, because the president was the elected ruler. Okay, the president was elected by the people of the country. So he started to rule based on the constitution, not based on his own will or wish. Okay, so this was the effect or the result of the American War of Independence. This American War of Independence had the great influence in the countries like India. Okay, India also started to adopt the same way of the American constitution. Okay, in different things, different points, or the different matters are taken from the American Bill of Rights, American Constitution or American Bill of Rights. Okay, so it is one of the source of Indian Constitution. The next thing we are going to see the French Revolution. Okay, what was the reason of French Revolution? Okay, there are different reasons for the French Revolution. The first one is unequal and unjust rule, unjust society. Okay, what was the first point? Unequal or unjust society. Okay, the second point is the growing power of middle class. Okay, growing power of middle class. The third reason for the French Revolution was influence of new ideas of philosophers. Okay, influence of new ideas. And the fourth point is an autocratic rule. Okay, autocratic rule. And the fifth point is inefficient and corrupt ruler or corrupt administration. Okay. And the sixth one is selfish and unconcerned government. Okay, selfish government or unconcerned government. Okay, and the seventh one is American War of Independence. Okay. Okay, when we see the French Revolution, what was the condition of the French society? Okay, what made the people to rebel against the government? When we see the French government or French society, the French society was feudal in nature. Okay, feudalism was in a high place. Okay. The people depend on the feudal lords were given importance in the society. The people were suppressed under the feudal lords. Okay, that was the condition of the French in during 1781 or after 17. Okay, when we see French Revolution, the first reason for the French Revolution was unequal and unjust society. Okay, the society was divided into three classes of people. Okay, we call it as three estates. Okay, what was the three estates? It is first estate, second estate, and the third estate. Okay, the first estate we can see clergy. Okay, the clergyman or the priest, they come under the first estate in the society. And in the second estate, the ruler, the nobles, they came under the second estate in the society. And in the third estate, 95% of the population, okay, of this French society, it came under the third estate. And in the third estate also we can find the middle class people like teachers, lawyers, all the professionals. They came under the third estate in the society, apart from the merchants and traders. Traders and merchants also, they came under the third estate in the society. What is the difference between the first estate, the second estate and the third estate in the society? The first and second estate, they enjoy all the privileges in the government or in the country. Okay, all the privileges were, it is given to the priest or class people and the nobles. So the first estate and the second estate, the people enjoyed lot of privileges and they had no tax, they need not to pay any taxes. So burden of tax was not given to the first estate and the second estate in the society. Okay, and the third thing, when we see these people, they lived a luxurious life. Okay, there was a vast difference between the first, second estate and the third estate. While these people enjoyed all the privileges, no burden of tax, and lived a luxurious life, whereas the third class people, they have not given any privileges in the society. The government was not bothered of the third estate of the people in the society. And this third estate of the people were overburdened with the heavy taxes. Okay, even they had to pay the tax for salt. Okay, so the salt tax also was collected from the peasants community. Okay, and these people, since they have overburdened with the heavy taxes, they had no privilege or no way for to lead their daily life. Okay, they underwent through struggles to face their daily need. Okay, so they have not seen any luxurious life in their life. So this was the social condition of the French society that gave or that made the people to rebel against the government. The second reason, when we see, it is the growing power of middle class people. I already told in the middle class people, who are the people, it comes under the middle class people. They were doctors, teachers and all the professionalists, and also like traders, merchants. Okay, these all people comes under the middle class society. Okay, now the growing power of, since economically they grew well. Okay, the second class people, they grew well economically. Okay, but the privilege and other things were not given by the government. The people, they suppressed by the government. This also another reason for the middle class people to rise against the British rule in France. Okay, and the third reason is the revolutionary ideas of the political philosophers like Voltaire, Montesquieu and Rousseau. Okay, there were three important philosophers who influenced people very much, even for, they were the reason for the American War of Independence, and also they were the reason for the French Revolution. Who are these people? Like Voltaire, Rousseau and Montesquieu. Their revolutionary ideas, it gave knowledge, it gave resentment to the people, which motivated the people to rise against the British rule in France. Okay, another reason is the autocratic rule. Okay, people were against of the autocratic rule. They demanded the independent rule or democratic way of government. Okay, what happened in autocratic rule? In autocratic rule, the government or the king, he started to rule as his will. Okay, as he wished, and all his will became law. Okay, there won't be any particular law as such. Whatever he wished, it became law. Okay, and according to king, he need not to answer to the common people, he is answerable to God, because he himself believed that he was a representative of God. So he need to answerable. He was answerable to God, but not to people. That that angered the people, because whatever he wished or his will became law. That suppressed the common people in the society, and people rise against or revolt against the French government, okay, or the British government. Another reason, the corrupt administration. Okay, when we see this corrupt and inefficient administration, the rulers were not strong, okay, the rulers were not powerful, but they started to corrupt the people, okay. The common people, the ordinary people, the peasants, they corrupted by this government, okay. More taxation collected, or more tax was collected from the common people, which burdened the people with heavy taxes, okay. The people suffered to lead their daily basis of living, okay. That again another reason for the French Revolution. The next thing is selfish and unconcerned administration, okay. The king was not concerned to the welfare of the people, but the king, he himself, he concerned his life, okay. For example, King Louis XVI, he was influenced by his beautiful wife Marie Antoinette, okay, and he ruled according to his wish. Both he and his wife, he spent a lot of money for their luxurious life, okay. He did not mind the people. He did not do any welfare activities for the common people, okay. Another thing, when we see the people, they involved in unwanted wars, okay. The French people, they involved in unwanted war, which became bankrupt. So economically France became bankrupt because of the unwanted wars, okay. Lot of amount was spent for the rebels to lead the war against America, the war against Britain, okay. That also another reason for the French Revolution, okay. These all things affected only the common people and ordinary people in the society, which made them to rebel against the government. And the last thing, when we see American War of Independence. Now different French generals and the soldiers, they have already involved in the American War of Independence, okay. They were with different motives. They were with different ideas, okay. Their ideas was, if the people rebel against the government, if people are united together, they can get success over the government. That was their ideas. So what happened? These ideas of the generals, already they have the experience in participating in the American War of Independence. That gave the knowledge, that gave the ideas for the French people to fight against the government, okay. These are the different reasons for the French Revolution. Did you understand, children? So in this class, what all things we have seen? The American War of Independence we have seen, and the result of American War of Independence we have seen, and the causes of French Revolution we have seen. Listen, in 1774, the colonists, they met together in Philadelphia, and they appealed against the King George III, okay, to withdraw his unjust and oppressive act against the people, okay. This became the reason for the French War of Rebellion, okay. This became the reason for the American War of Independence. American troops were reached in the place called Massachusetts, okay, and in two places this American War of Independence took place. One is Lexington and another one is Concord. And this American War of Independence came in 1781 to the end, okay, which gave end to the British rule in America, and America started to rule themselves, okay. They had the written constitution, okay, liberty, fraternity, okay, and sovereignty was the slogan for the French, the American War of Independence. Okay, and all men were born equal. This was the concept which the American War of Independence gave to the people, and this war was led by George Washington. Okay, and at last what happened? George Washington became the first elected president of America. And later what happened? The French Revolution followed by American Revolution took place. What are the reasons? The unequal and unjust society, the growing power of middle class people, and new ideas of political philosophers, autocratic rule of the kings, okay, and corrupt and inefficient administration, and selfish and unconcerned rulers, okay, and also the American War of Independence. These were the reason for the French War of Independence. Okay, here we end the class. We will meet with the same lesson in the next class. Thank you, children.